Now we'll turn to the different types of ADR processes that are used in resolving workplace disputes. Which ADR process is used depends. It depends upon how long the dispute has been going on for and the nature of the dispute. If the dispute is quite trivial, it doesn't have severe consequences, and it is likely that the employee and the employer can resolve the dispute through open communication without engaging one or more of the formal ADR processes. However, if an employee and an employer can't resolve the dispute through open communication, then they may turn to one of the following: mediation, conciliation, or arbitration. So let's talk about mediation. Mediation is a process by which an independent person, known as the mediator, assists the parties by identifying and evaluating options and solutions to resolve their dispute. Mediators don't take sides, give advice, or decide what is right and wrong. The main role of the mediator is to facilitate discussion between the parties and to help them come up with solutions to their dispute. Mediations are voluntary, meaning that the employee and the employer must both agree to take part. Okay, now let's talk about conciliation. Conciliation is very similar to mediation because there is an independent third party who helps the employee and the employer resolve their dispute. However, the independent third party in this case is known as the conciliator. Where the conciliator differs from the mediator is that the conciliator will usually have some specialist workplace relations knowledge and can provide expert advice to the parties. Hence, conciliation can be extremely useful when the parties want an expert view on their dispute. Conciliation is heavily utilized in resolving workplace disputes and is undertaken in most ADR processes that occur at the Fair Work Commission, such as unfair dismissal disputes. The last and least common form of ADR is known as arbitration. Arbitration occurs when the parties agree for an arbitrator to listen to the cases of both parties and then make a binding judgment similar to a judge in the court system.
Can you just quickly take us through kind of the process of a dispute and the different stages of ADR? So there'd be a dispute, say unfair dismissal, and then it goes to this and then that and then that, and then, you know, if all things don't work out, then eventually court.
So let's look at, for example, let's look at the general protections process, because I think that is quite a unique process.
Yeah.
So you initially file your application in the Fair Work Commission, or an aggrieved employee who believes that they've been adversely affected will fill out the application. They'll submit that application to the Fair Work Commission.
Yep.
When they submit that application, that the registry of the Fair Work Commission will set that down for an initial conciliation with a conciliator.
Okay.
Right? Conciliators are not members of the tribunal.
Okay.
They're employees of the Fair Work Commission.
Okay.
Right? Normally, they are experienced conciliators per se, right? So they are people who've been in the industry for a long time, barristers, lawyers, employment law specialists, etc. Right? Who understand that process and who've done that potentially a great number of times. These people will conciliate, and that conciliation, usually they'll give it 90 minutes to conciliate that process.
Yeah.
Very, very quickly. So what they'll do in that conciliation process, they'll start off, they'll give a bit of an explanation about what the process is about, what the parameters of that process are. They'll invite the applicant to make a quick presentation about why they've filed this application. The other side will then have a bit of a go at rebutting or replying to that process. Once they've done that, the conciliator may ask a further few questions, and then the conciliator will then start to wade through that information and try and get an outcome of some sort.
Okay.
If they're successful at that, the matter gets sent back to the registry, they will issue a certificate of attempted conciliation. So in other words, that they've attempted to try and resolve this matter, but it hasn't been successful. The tribunal at that point then will issue that will send it off to a tribunal member. The tribunal member is a conciliator, so that they will also then try and conciliate it. If they can't conciliate it, then the matter gets sent off to the federal court. So it'll either go to the federal court or the federal circuit court. And then it will be conciliated further. So you have almost 3 sets of conciliation before you even get to a hearing to try and resolve this matter. Right? So there's a considerable amount of input that the Commission has, and then that the federal court has to try and resolve this matter.
Right.
The problem, though, with that is even though you can see that there's multiple times where they can resolve the matter. What often can happen is that power imbalance between the two parties.